you all will follow the court's instructions, no issues, nobody talk to you, you don't talk to anyone about the case, no news, no stories, internet, YouTube, things like that. No smoke signals, so we're all good. So, maybe something out of order here real quick. I'm going to let the defense call the witness, just because it's the timing factor with the witness, so that's why the state and the defense have agreed to call someone out of order, which is fine.
Thank you, Your Honor. The defense would call Dr. Ashley Perkins. Thank you. Judge, will the court just instruct the witness that she is still under oath?
You are still there. Okay, thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Dr. Perkins, during your examination of Nilexia Alexander, did you also do some testing for sexually transmitted diseases?
Yes.
And did you find any sexually transmitted diseases that Ms. Alexander had?
So the laboratory tested for chlamydia and Neisseria gonorrhea, and both of those came back negative.
Okay. I have nothing else. Thank you.
Any cross?
No, there you go.
I mean, it's maybe not to be released again.
Yes, for real.
Thank you.
All right. State, you may call your next witness now.
Your Honor, this time the state would call Detective Jacob Wieland.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, double truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Counselor, whenever you do.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Can you please state your full name for the record?
Yes, it's Jacob, J-A-C-O-B, Wieland, W-I-E-L-A-N-D.
Okay. And sir, where do you work?
The City of Tampa Police Department
How long have you worked for Tampa Police Department?
since December 2011.
And what does your job entail?
I'm currently a homicide detective assigned to our homicide unit.
And as a homicide detective, what are some of your duties?
The obvious one being that we are responsible for investigating homicides that occur within the city limits of Tampa. The other collateral duties that we have are we're assigned unexplained deaths throughout the city as well, and suicides.
Okay. Well, sir, I'd like to turn your attention to May the 6th of 2022. Were you a homicide detective back then?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. On May the 6th of 2022, did you respond to a particular location here in Hillsborough County?
I did, yes, ma'am.
Where did you respond to?
To the intersection of Florabraska Avenue and Highland.
And why did you respond to that location?
I was contacted by my sergeant and informed that a homicide had occurred in that area and that I would be acting as the lead detective.
And are there specific assignments in the homicide unit at Tampa Police Department?
There are, yes, ma'am.
Can you tell us what those assignments are?
Yes, typically for a normal homicide, we'll send out multiple detectives. The assignments that are given out are one going to be the lead, which I was in this case. You're going to have a secondary detective who's assigned to me throughout the initial investigation. That was Detective Nikki Sackrider for this investigation. And then you're going to have a scene detective who's going to, in this case, was Detective Aaron Campbell.
Okay. And so you as lead, what are your responsibilities?
We are kind of what you'd picture the TV detective is, so we're kind of overseeing the entire investigation, kind of the quarterback of the case.
Okay. And what does your assist, Nikki Sackrider, what is her responsibility?
She's pretty much my shadow. She's with me for the course of the investigation. There'll be some things that she may do outside of that, but for the majority of the time, she's with me.
Okay. And how about a scene detective? What does a scene detective do?
They are responsible for the overall scene. In this case, there was only one that we had to go to. While the lead and the second are doing interviews, potentially looking for other things, the scene detective's responsibility is to document, collect evidence, and oversee the crime scene tech who's collecting it.
Okay. All right, so now you arrive on the scene on May the 6th of 2022. About what time did you get there?
I got there approximately 05:26 hours.
And for our purposes, is that 5:26 a.m.?
That's correct.
And upon arriving, what did you observe?
It's a residential neighborhood. It's quiet. There is an intersection there where Florabraska is running east to west. And Florabraska is a dead end as you travel eastbound down that street.
Okay. All right, when you arrived on scene, was the deceased still there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And were other people there as well?
That's correct. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Was the scene already, was crime scene tape already up?
That's correct. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and what's the purpose of that?
That's to create a perimeter around your actual crime scene to stop any contamination of the actual scene itself, to keep anybody from coming in and out that shouldn't be in the scene.
Okay, so you went under the crime scene tape, you reviewed the body and the circumstances, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and were you briefed by anyone upon arriving on scene?
I was.
Who were you briefed by?
My Sergeant Mike Lippold.
Okay, and is that customary? You get information as much as you can, and then you start your investigation?
That's correct, because they are the initial point of contact for a homicide. The sergeant gets the phone call, and then he divvies it out to the detectives that are be going to the actual scene and taking over the investigation.
Okay. Now, so is it your understanding then that this call came in, or this matter was reported via a 911 call?
That's correct.
Okay. And do you happen to know when that 911 call was made?
Yes, ma'am, if I can use my report to reflect my
Your Honor, may
recollection.
he use his report to refresh his memory?
Yes.
Okay.
At approximately 03:58 hours, we received that 911 call.
So 3:58 a.m., you received the 911 call.
That's correct, yes, ma'am.
And when you arrived on scene, were the 911 callers present?
They were, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you interview them?
I did, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Was the interview recorded
It was.
and under oath?
Yes, ma'am.
And who were the two 911 callers in this case?
Terry Maddox and Eric Walker.
Okay. When you spoke to them, did they provide you with information willingly, or did you have to go find them at another location?
No, ma'am, they were willing.
Okay. And what were the demeanors of them as you interviewed them and spoke with them?
There was no note like one way or the other. Obviously, they just found this girl in the field deceased, but they were cooperative. They answered all our questions coherently. They completely understood what we were asking them.
Okay. Now, as you arrived on the scene, what's the first thing that you're thinking you need to do?
That's a trick question. So it kind of depends on what the scene is.
Okay, for this scene.
For this scene, the first thing that we did was interview those 911 callers.
Okay.
Typically, that's what we'll do is we'll try to see what witnesses we have on scene with the thought process of we don't want to keep them there for extended periods of time while we do other things. So in this case, we interviewed the 911 callers first and then began to look for other witnesses and video.
Now, at some point, did you come in contact with Alan Wallace?
I did, yes, ma'am.
When did you come in contact with him?
Shortly after the interviews with the 911 callers.
So he was still on scene
Yes, ma'am.
and willing to provide you with information?
That is correct.
Did you record his interview?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it sworn to?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you find his information to have evidentiary value?
I did, yes, ma'am.
And moving forward in your investigation, did you keep the interview you had with him in mind as you continue to investigate the case?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you do a neighborhood survey in this case?
We did, yes, ma'am.
Can you tell the jury what a neighborhood survey is?
Absolutely. So with modern times, there's a lot of video surveillance that is out there on home residents. So we are beginning a search around the crime scene, up and down the thoroughfares, looking for video, looking for witnesses, looking for anything that could be useful during the investigation.
Okay. And you did that in this case?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Okay. In looking for video, was it just you, or were other Tampa police officers also looking for video?
Detective Sakurado was with me, and then also, prior to arriving, an Officer Ziegler had located a residence with video that we ended up receiving.
Okay. So to be clear, when you're looking for video, you're not just looking for video from establishments. You're also looking for video from people who live in that area who might have Ring cameras and such. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am,
Okay. And you did that in this particular case.
that's correct.
You mentioned that Officer Ziegler had found video.
Correct.
Okay. And what was the location of the video?
Yes, to use my report, I'll give you the exact address.
It will be used to refresh your memory, yes.
Yep. It's 2905 North Highland Avenue.
Okay. And did you review that video at some point?
Yes, ma'am.
What was the significance of that video?
It doesn't visually capture anything, however, the video does have audio, and at 3:08 hours on the video, you hear gunshots.
Okay, so now, based on this video, are you able to determine the time of the murder?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have any reason to believe that there were multiple gunshots on this day around the time of this murder?
No, ma'am.
That there was just one specific incident, is that correct?
Correct, yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so now you determined that this would have been at 3:08. Did you or other Tampa police officers make sure that the time that was noted and depicted on the video from 2905 North Highland Avenue was actually correct?
Yes, ma'am, Officer Ziegler did.
And in your experience as a homicide detective and just working at Tampa Police Department, do you come upon situations where sometimes you obtain a video, but the time frame on the video is inaccurate?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so is it part of your responsibility and others who collect video to document any time frame that might be off?
That's correct.
Was that done in this case throughout?
Yes, ma'am.
But in this particular case, as it pertains to 2905 North Highland Avenue, was this time deemed to be correct?
Yes, ma'am, by Officer Ziegler.
Okay. Now, in your conversations with Alan Wallace, did he also give you a time frame in which he heard gunshots?
Yes, ma'am.
And based on that, did you need to determine if that time was consistent with the video, audio from 2905 North Highland?
Did I need to?
Did you determine that they were consistent?
They were, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, so can we assume from this investigation that the 2905 North Highland Avenue video was one that was found quickly?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, moving on forward, what was it that you did after you interviewed Alan Wallace?
We went to a residence of 3000 North Highland. There's obvious cameras on the actual residents themselves, and made contact with them in attempts to get that video.
And the 3005 North Highland video, was that at all relevant to this case?
3000 Highlands, where we went after the interview with Mr.
Okay.
Wallace.
So the 3000 North Highland, was that relevant?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, why did you deem that one to be relevant?
The residence sits at the intersection where the homicide occurred, and it had video pointing towards the actual intersection. And at the time, we don't know if it's recording, but we do observe video that is pointing in the direction that we're interested in. So that's why we made contact with them. Ultimately, it does yield video of the actual intersection and towards the scene.
Okay. And so you were able to collect it, is that correct?
Yes.
You and other officers?
Correct, yes. We used HSO, Video Forensic Tech, to collect the video, yes, ma'am.
And that would have been Mark Montano, is that correct?
That is correct, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And upon collecting it, did you also check to see if the time frame on the video was inaccurate?
We did. That was done through Forensic Tech Mark Montano, who provided
Okay.
that information to me, but yes, it was checked.
Okay. And so now, upon getting the video from 3000 North Highland Avenue and the video from 2905 North Highland Avenue, do you now have audio and video depicting anything of evidentiary value?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. In reviewing these videos, what did you determine to be of evidentiary value?
There is a vehicle that matched the description provided by witness Mr. Wallace. Is a sedan that pulls onto the street. Ultimately, it goes and turns around, comes back, stops where the body was located. Its headlights are turned off. Shortly after the gunshots, the vehicle then pulls away with its headlights off, and then makes a northbound turn.
So have you reviewed that video from 3000 North Highland Avenue?
Yes, ma'am.
And in watching the video turn around, would you say you've watched it multiple times?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, was it significant at all, if there's any information there, as it pertains to where the body was found and the driver, whether it would have been on the driver's side of the vehicle as it turned around, or the front passenger? Did you make that determination?
Yes, you can see that in the video. The victim would have been found on the driver's side of the vehicle after it's turned around.
Okay. And was that significant to you as you moved forward in this investigation?
Objection to improper testimony. Irrelevance.
Approach.
Thank you. Now, as you continue this investigation, was it significant to you to determine whether or not this body was found on the driver's side or the passenger side of this vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And moving forward, was another issue that you had to determine was the identity of the victim?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what did you go about doing to determine the identity of the deceased?
We ultimately had to do a release of a tattoo that was on the victim to the news in attempts to have her identified.
Okay. And upon releasing the photograph of the tattoo, and for the record, what was that tattoo?
It was a name Arthur with a heart above it.
Okay. And after you released it to the general public, did you receive a phone call or follow-up?
Yes, City Table Police Department did receive a phone call regards to that, and then I was informed of that phone call.
Okay. And at some point, based on the phone call, did you come in contact with Ashley Alexander?
I did, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you determine her relationship with the deceased?
The mother.
Okay. Did Miss Alexander provide you any information of significance?
She did.
Okay.
She provided insight.
Objection to hearsay.
Sustain.
Did you become aware through her of any social media or information associated with Miss Alexander, with the deceased?
I did, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you follow up during your investigation with such information that you received?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, as you move forward and continue in this investigation, was it important to you to also speak to people that had any attachment with the deceased?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now at this point, when you come in contact with Ashley Alexander, you now know the name and the identity of the deceased. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes, ma'am.
So based on having learned this information, what's your next move?
Well, specifically to the speaking to,
Let me ask you this way. Did you speak to Jayla Green on the same day?
yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay. And how did you determine Jayla Green was even related or involved in this case?
She was present when we made the notification, and I was informed that she was the cousin. The belief that she was involved was believed that she was a similar age to our victim.
Okay. Now, you said you made the notification. What do you mean by that?
To inform Miss Alexander that her daughter was indeed the victim.
Okay. All right. And that's something that you, as a homicide detective, you have to do that, correct? You
That-
have to try to make efforts to meet next of kin and do a face-to-face notification, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And then at some point, within that same time frame, you became aware of Jayla Green.
Yes, ma'am.
And did you interview her?
I did, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And based on your contact with Jayla Green, did you learn information that became of evidentiary value to this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Objection invades the province of the jury and relevance.
Overruled.
You may answer the question.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay. What did you learn about Nilexia Alexander as it pertains to a phone?
That she did have a phone. Jayla did not know the number for it. However, she was aware that Nilexia had called the police from that phone.
Okay. And so now that you know this, is there a way for you to go back in time during your investigation and find out whether there were in fact any 911 calls associated with Nilexia Alexander?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you in fact do that?
We did, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you find that the information that Jayla Green gave you materialized in an actual 911 call that predated the day of the murder?
Correct, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And were you able to listen to the 911 call?
Yes, ma'am.
And was Tampa Police Department able to obtain a phone number in association with that 911 call?
Yes, ma'am.
What was the phone number that you learned that Nilexia Alexander used to make that 911 call?
Yes, if I could refresh my recollection for the report.
Yes.
Yes.
The phone number that she called from was 813-447-6234.
Okay. And is that a number that you had received at any point from Ashley Alexander?
No, ma'am.
Okay. What was the date of that 911 call?
April 23rd, 2022.
Now, in investigating this case, did you check to see, did you ultimately obtain the phone records and phone information as it pertains to 813-447-6234?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How did you go about obtaining information for this phone?
Through a search warrant to the cell phone provider.
Okay, so you and or other TPD detectives, in fact, took the time, drafted a search warrant, and it was executed appropriately?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and what did you learn from the phone as it pertains to the subscriber information?
For the subscriber information, it was registered to somebody by the first name of Robert.
Was it Robert or Daniel?
I'm sorry, Daniel.
Okay. And, did you learn anything about this person, Daniel Tullerod?
Close enough, yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. Did you attempt to look for this individual?
Yes, ma'am.
And recently, did you actually find him?
I did, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you determine that finding him yielded anything significant to your investigation?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So on May the 6th, beyond these specific things that we discussed, did you do additional information that yielded information that helped you move forward this investigation?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So moving on, because you continue to work on this case, correct, after May the 6th?
Correct.
Moving on to May the 7th, based on the information you learned about Nilexia Alexander's social media information, what, if anything, did you do?
Yes, ma'am. I submitted a letter of preservation to Facebook for a social media account that was provided by her mother.
Okay. And have you reviewed such information?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you find anything in her social media that moved this investigation forward?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Moving on, that same day, did you seek to learn locations in which you might be able to have found Nilexia Alexander prior to her death?
Correct, yes, ma'am.
What did you do as it pertains to that?
We had received phone calls that friends of the family had potential information on her whereabouts.
Hearsay.
Effect on the listener, Your Honor? That's the only purpose. No truth of the matter asserted. In terms of locations.
I'll allow it.
Okay.
As the effect it has on the listener.
Okay, so based on the information you learned from individuals, did you go to specific locations and attempt to locate the victim? Oh, the whereabouts of the victim prior to her murder?
Yes, ma'am, we did.
Okay, where are some of the locations you went to?
2212 East 27th Avenue.
Okay. What, if anything, did you learn from going to that location?
Nothing.
Okay. Moving on, did you go to another location?
We did.
What was that location?
That one is 3204 22nd Apartment B.
And did you find anything of evidentiary value from that?
No, ma'am.
Did you go to another location?
I believe so, yes, ma'am.
And where was that?
1903 East 26.
Did you learn anything from any video footage or any information from that location?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and did you continue to move forward trying to find locations that the victim hung out at?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you find anything of relevance as it pertains to that on May the 7th?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Did you ultimately, though, were you still looking for video footage, anything that might have evidentiary value in association with this case?
That's correct.
And in that, to that end, did you in fact find video from the location of 3001 North Florida Avenue?
3001 North Florida.
North Florida Avenue. Matcon Construction?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you collect video from that location?
We did.
Was it of any evidentiary value?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Did that conclude, in terms of evidence that might have moved forward the investigation, did that include what you were able to accomplish on May the 7th of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you continue to work on this case on May the 8th of 2022?
We did.
And what was your goal that day as it pertains to this investigation?
Again, to follow up with some of the addresses that was provided by that interview from the day prior. We had knocked on some doors and hadn't had contact with anyone, so we're attempting to make contact with anyone around those addresses.
Okay. And did you learn anything of evidentiary value?
No, ma'am.
Okay. May the 9th, 2022. Did you obtain anything that had evidentiary value?
We did, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you specifically locate video from 112 East Plymouth Street in Hillsborough County?
We did, but we also received video prior to that as well.
Okay. What other video did you receive?
From 3016 North Florida Avenue, the Body Parts of America.
Okay. And did you find that video to have evidentiary value?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you collect it?
Yes, ma'am.
What of evidentiary value did you find on the first video that you've indicated that had evidentiary value?
It showed a vehicle with the same characteristics as the one observed at 3000 North Highland, traveling by the business and then cutting through a alleyway prior to reaching Florida Avenue.
Okay. Now, personally, are you familiar with Ford Fusions?
Fusion, yes, ma'am.
Why are you familiar with it?
I've been driving one for the police department since, 2019.
Okay. So are you generally experienced in the make and model of this particular vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
And even upon looking at the video at 3000 North Highland, could you personally make the determination of the make and model of this vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so now, one of the goals for you, was it to track this particular vehicle that you saw in the video footage from 3000 North Highland to determine the locations that that video and that vehicle might have gone?
100%, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did that take up a lot of time during this investigation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And as I speak to that, about how many videos would you say you collected for the case file for this case?
I would say approximately 45 locations.
And were all 45 relevant to this case?
No, ma'am.
Okay, but in the abundance of caution, when you're looking through and making determinations, you're collecting them, downloading them, and including them in the case file.
Yes, ma'am.
And is it your responsibility to look and review all these videos?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you do that in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
About how long will you say it took for you to find these 45 videos and review them and download them?
A long time. Approximately 2 to 3 weeks we were working on it.
Okay. All right. Besides the videos you've mentioned on May the 9th of 2022, did you download any other videos that you determined to have evidentiary value to this case on May the 9th?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Tell us about that, please.
For May the 9th, the residents of 112 East Plymouth.
Okay. All right. And why was that video significant?
That is the opposite end of the alleyway, where the body parts of America captures the vehicle turning into the alleyway. Directly to the opposite end of that is this residence that captures that vehicle coming out of the alleyway.
Okay. And did you go to that particular location and review the video?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you get permission to download the video?
I did, yes, ma'am.
Did you download that video?
I did.
Okay. And have you provided that video to the state and the defense in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you reviewed it to determine that it's an accurate depiction of the location around the location of 112 East Plymouth?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would move into evidence State Exhibit 10.
No objection, Your Honor.
States 10 to be admitted.
Thank you. Now, ultimately, have we discussed completely the video footage from May the 9th that had relevance to your investigation?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I'm sorry, have we?
No, we
Okay,
have-
what are the other videos?
The other location is going to be Graham's Place. It's a hostel in that residential
Okay.
neighborhood. It's with the address of 1309 North Ola Avenue.
Why was that video important to your investigation?
It actually captures the ingress and egress of the suspect vehicle.
Okay. And you reviewed that video.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you go to that location?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you collect that video?
I did, yes, ma'am.
In proximity, how close is that location to the crime scene?
Just several blocks.
And for the rest of us who, what are we talking about in terms of maybe miles?
0.1 mile.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you determine the time frame on that video?
I did, yes, ma'am.
And was there any time difference?
There was.
Okay, what was the time difference associated with that video?
It was just 1 minute and like 16 seconds slow.
Okay, and I failed to ask you this. Did you determine whether or not the time frame at the 112 East Plymouth Street video was in fact correct?
It was not.
It was not. What was the time frame difference?
11 minutes and 3 seconds slow.
Okay, and this is something that you always have to check. Is that correct?
Every time, yes, ma'am.
Do you personally know why there might be a time offset on some of these videos?
Yes and no. I mean, there's going to be a lot of factors that play into it. Sometimes it's just simple as daylight savings time. The device doesn't account for it. Other times, when they set the device time, it could be a watch off, or they could set this DVR years ago, and then it's slowly just not keeping accurate time.
Okay. And so how do you go about determining the correct time that is being depicted?
I use a government website. The government website that I use is time.gov.
Okay. All right. And you did that in the two videos that we've discussed.
Correct, yes, ma'am.
Were there any other videos from that day that you found and downloaded?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Did you do any other investigation that yielded results on May the 9th that we have not discussed?
No, ma'am.
Moving on, were you still working on this case on May the 10th of 2022?
I was, yes, ma'am.
What was the bulk of your investigative actions that day?
Yes. Again, still searching for a lot of video.
But ultimately, did you obtain any videos that had any evidentiary value on May the 10th?
No, ma'am. And the bulk of that, and pretty much 100% of it, is just searching for continued video in that area.
All right. And that's customary, is that correct? In cases like this where you're trying to track evidence?
Correct. In cases like this where we have a vehicle that we're trying to track, that is customary, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Moving on to May the 11th, did you continue to look for video?
We did.
Okay. Did you find video that had evidentiary value?
No, ma'am.
Did you find video from the Radiant Church that day, or?
We did make contact with them. Ultimately, we received the video the following day.
Okay, but it did, in fact, have evidentiary value. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
And did Mark Montano go to that location and download that video?
He did, yes, ma'am.
And were you able to review the video?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What was significant that you noted as it pertains to this investigation?
Objection, improper question.
Sustained form of question.
Okay. Did you review the video?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
What, if anything, did you note?
A vehicle, again, matching the suspect vehicle traveling past the church.
Okay. On May the 12th is the day that that you actually obtained the Radiant Church video. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes, ma'am.
And on that same day, did you come in contact with a person named Carol Brown?
I did, yes, ma'am.
Why did you meet with Carol Brown?
We were now tracking the vehicle. We kind of had the direction it was traveling. That was kind of the next leapfrog into where we were looking for the vehicle.
And did you have an opportunity to look at did she have any video that might have captured anything that you would want to have reviewed?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you actually review the video with her consent?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you able at some point to collect that video?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you able to determine that the time frame on that video was correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And why did you collect this video?
Again, it captures a vehicle matching the suspect vehicle traveling past her residence.
Okay. And can you give us an idea of how far this location is, this 716 West, and how do you pronounce that address? Is it?
Adderley.
Adderley?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you find that to be close in proximity to the Florida, Nebraska, and North Highland location?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, how close?
Approximately 0.25 miles now.
Okay. All right. Was there any other investigative leads that you were able to make on May the 12th that we have not discussed?
No, ma'am.
Moving on to May the 13th, were you still working on this case on that day?
Yes, ma'am.
At some point that day or thereabouts, did you obtain information for the for the phone number that you had now associated with Nilexia Alexander?
Yes, ma'am, we did.
Okay. Did you review it?
I did.
What, if anything, significant did you learn about that information?
We reviewed the time advanced for the records, and we noted that prior to the homicide, it obviously moves into the area of the homicide, and then after the homicide, it leaves the area of the homicide and travels away from the scene.
Okay, tell us what what timing advance means.
It's records from T-Mobile. They have a system that kind of collects the distance from a user from the cell site, and we're able to use that to geographically put a device in the area from the data.
And did you do that personally?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you go about doing that?
We have a system referred to as CellHawk that we're able to put the data into, and all that does is just take the raw data that we have on a spreadsheet and then puts it into a visual form that's easier to review.
Okay. And then when you put this information in CellHawk, what is it that it spits out? What is it that you see?
You're going to see your data on the left-hand side, so you'll have a user-friendly version of it on your left-hand side, and then ultimately you'll have a function where you can map the locations that the data is providing.
Okay. And so how do you see it? Is it sort of like a moving video showing us the movement of the phone or the device, or is it just a map?
That's one feature you can use. So the answer to that is both.
Okay.
So you have an option where you can click on the data, and every single point that is in that file will come up. A lot of times when you have these massive files, it just turns into a big blob on the screen. Your second option is you can make it animated, and you can have a movie map, and you can track through the time of the data, and then it'll pinpoint it on the map as it goes through the time.
Okay, and you did that in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And are there, and you're well-versed in using the CellHawk
Correct, yes,
system?
ma'am.
Okay. And is Sergeant Ben Heist another individual that works with Tampa Police Department?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And does he do that even more so than perhaps yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and has he testified, to your knowledge, if you know, as an expert in phone mapping evidence and information?
He has, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so ultimately, even after you reviewed this information, did you then provide the information to Sergeant Van Heist to put together the entire information?
Correct.
Okay, and is that customary in cases such as this?
100%, especially with his expertise on it.
Okay. All right, so now I think you indicated that you learned movement information as it pertains to the device that you had associated with Nilexia Alexander.
Correct.
Does that mean that from what you learned, that Nilexia Alexander was indeed in possession of that phone from the evidence you learned on May the 6th of 2022?
Objection to speculation and in her opinion invading the province of Virginia.
Well, if he knows, I'm allowed to answer it.
You can answer.
Overrule the objection.
Thank you. You can answer the question.
Can you repeat the question?
So based on the records that you received, did you determine that it was consistent with Nilexia Alexander being in possession of the phone that you had obtained a search warrant for this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so to that end, what is it that you learned from the timing advance records and your CellHawk review?
That after her homicide, that the phone does continue to travel away from the scene and then travel to other areas of the city.
Okay. And are you able to review information from those records from prior to the homicide?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And moving forward in this investigation, okay, anyway, based on the travel pattern that you learned from this timing advance information, what, if anything, did you do?
Yes, one of the things I noted very quickly was that the phone is geographically in the area of downtown Tampa on the date of the homicide, much later in the day. So she's killed at approximately 03:08 hours in the morning. And then at approximately 15:12 hours, that'd be 3:12 p.m., the phone is geographically in the area of downtown Tampa.
Okay. And so when you know this, or when you learn this information, what if anything, did you do?
We have City of Tampa cameras that are downtown. I accessed those cameras and began to look through the traffic in that area.
Okay. And upon reviewing that, what, if anything, did you learn?
At the intersection of Ashley and Tyler, at the approximate time where the device is geographically in the area, I located a Ford Fusion that matched the description and characteristics of the suspect vehicle from other surveillance video.
Okay. And did you request that that video be provided?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And since this was City of Tampa video system, do you know if those videos are made and kept in the regular course of business?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And is there a detective that is a business record custodian that would have been able to download and provide a business record certificate for that video?
Yes, ma'am.
And would that have been the case with all Tampa police videos in the city?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you in fact get a business record certificate for all these videos that you obtained from the City of Tampa?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you also check, you or someone else check to see if the time frame on those videos were correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Are those time frames correct?
They are, yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, did you also, I think you mentioned that you were able to pull video from Ashley and Tyler. Did you say that, or?
I did, yes.
Okay. And you indicated that that had evidentiary value?
It did, yes, ma'am.
What about Ashley and Polk?
Yes.
Okay. And based on this information you learned, do you continue to look for video?
That's correct.
Where do you go to next?
The travels geographically into the area of Tampa General Hospital. Based on that, we responded to Tampa General Hospital to pull video as well.
Okay. So does the city of Tampa have video systems at Tampa General Hospital?
No, ma'am.
Okay, but to your knowledge, or did you determine that Tampa General Hospital has its own video systems?
That's correct.
Okay, and did you make contact, so what did you do now that you learned that there might be videos for Tampa General Hospital?
Yeah, we went there, made contact, we being myself and Detective Sackrider, and made contact with security to access video from on-site.
Okay. And did you, were you able to review video that day?
We were.
Were you able to review video just of movement of the car in question, or did you also receive or learn information on the tag of the vehicle?
We also received information for the tag.
And is that from Tampa General Hospital?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Were you able to download those videos?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, what, if anything, did you learn having reviewed the videos from Tampa General Hospital?
Yes, ma'am. So we observe the vehicle pull into the roundabout there. A gentleman gets out of the vehicle and goes into the back seat. A female who appears to be an employee from Tampa General then walks over and gets into the vehicle itself, and then the vehicle leaves. The Tampa General Hospital has a camera that's near the exit that captures tags as vehicles leave the property.
Okay. And so now at this point, do you now have a tag associated with the vehicle that you've been tracking?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what's the tag information for that video, for that vehicle?
I'm going to use my report to reflect my recollection.
Yes.
It's going to be Florida tag BRJ4U.
Okay. And at this point, do you have the ability to determine who the registered owner is for that vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
And who did you determine that person to be?
Ronny Walker.
Okay. Showing you what has been pre-marked as State Exhibit 38 is this information that you would have reviewed and obtained due to your investigation.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, the state would move into evidence State Exhibit 38.
Objection, Your Honor.
United States 38.
Okay. And so you indicated that you then now know who the registered owner of this Ford Fusion
Yes, ma'am. Ford Fusion.
is. Who did you determine that to be?
Ronny Walker.
Okay. Was there anything significant about your review of this vehicle, seeing the video, that became relevant to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Objection being the province of the jury and proper question.
You may answer the question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What, if anything?
The license plate, the video was such good quality of the license plate. There was also, beyond seeing the Florida tag, there was a surround that surrounded the license plate that belonged to a used car lot referred to as Giant Motors.
Okay. So now that you know that around the tag referred to Giant Motors, what, if anything, did you do with that information?
At that time, nothing.
Okay.
We began to look for the vehicle at the registered owner's address on file.
Okay. And what address did you have on file?
3424 North 52nd Street.
Okay. And that's in Hillsborough County, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you go to that location?
Yes, ma'am, we did.
Did you find him that day at that location?
We did not see a vehicle there, no, ma'am.
Okay. So then what do you do?
From experience in other cases, used car lots a lot of times will have GPS trackers on their vehicles. Knowing that it was from Giant Motor, we assumed that that's where the vehicle was purchased. We responded to Giant Motors with the idea of we were going to speak to the owners or the employees there to see if this used car had a GPS tracker on it, as a lot of the used car lots do. However, that changed when we came in contact with a vehicle there at the actual car lot.
Okay. So you go to that location, and is this on May the 13th of 2022?
That is correct.
Okay. About what time would you say you got there?
It was going to be later in the day. I would say probably around 4 or 5 o'clock.
Okay. And who, if anyone, did you meet that day?
Ultimately, we came in contact with Mr. Walker there.
Okay. And was the vehicle there as well?
It was, yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what, if anything, did you do when you saw the vehicle?
Initially, when we first saw it, we had already formulated a plan that we were going to take it and seize it for the investigation as far as to author a search warrant on it. I contacted patrol units and a plainclothes unit in the area to come help us assist with that. We then went to the car lot where we made contact with Mr. Walker. Ultimately, we had the vehicle sealed and taken to our police impound lot.
Okay. Do you see Mr. Ronny Walker here today?
I do, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Can you identify him by an article of clothing?
Yep, he's the gentleman right there wearing the glasses and a dark gray black shirt.
Okay.
Suit.
May the record reflect that the witness has identified the defendant.
It will reflect the identification.
And on May the 13th of 2022, when you came in contact with the defendant, did he have on glasses?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So when you went to this location, Giant Motors, did you check to see if they did have a tracking device on the vehicle or Burla or anything like that?
Those are two separate things. Burla
Okay.
is going to be the
Download.
Correct, yes, ma'am. They did not have a third-party tracking device on the vehicle.
Okay. And you confirmed that, is that correct?
Correct, yes, ma'am.
All right. When you came in contact with Ronny Walker at that location, did you see to it that he was photographed?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you note any injury on him?
There was a small injury that was explained as a burn.
Okay. But there was an injury?
Correct.
Okay. And was that injury photographed?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And was Mr. Walker photographed?
Yes, ma'am.
While at the scene, did you and other TPD personnel obtain a buccal swab for Mr. Walker that day?
We did, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you tell Mr. Walker the reason why you were making contact with him and taking his vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. Did you in fact follow protocol as you seized the Ford?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you go about taking custody of that vehicle?
We contacted Crime Scene Tech to respond out to Giant Motors. Once there, they sealed the points of the vehicle with evidence seals. It was then impounded and followed by an officer to our impound lot pending a search warrant.
What's the purpose of you seeing to it that an officer follows the vehicle as it goes to your impound lot?
To make sure that while in transit, there's nothing that could disturb the vehicle, or we have at least somebody that can document anything that may happen to the vehicle in transit.
Okay. So what's your reason for doing that though?
To maintain the evidence.
Okay. To maintain the integrity of the investigation as well?
Correct, yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Now, while you are in contact with Mr. Walker, did you discuss that video at Tampa General Hospital that you reviewed?
Yes, ma'am.
And based on the fact that you watched the video and you saw an individual get out of the vehicle, was it part of your investigative an investigative necessity to determine who that person was that came out of the front passenger seat?
Correct, yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you ask Mr. Walker the identity of the person that came out of the front passenger seat at Tampa General Hospital?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is it that Mr. Walker told you?
That it was a person by the name of Day Day.
Okay. And during your investigation of this case, did you determine the name, the legal name for Day Day?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is that name?
David White.
Okay. Did you come in contact with David White at some point?
I did, yes, ma'am.
And personal knowledge is what I'm asking you. Were you able to have a good look at his build, his gait, his size?
Yes, ma'am.
Did it match what you were seeing as it pertains to the individual that came out of the front passenger seat at Tampa General Hospital?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Did you ultimately at some point come in contact with the individual that came out of the front passenger seat of that Ford?
Yes, ma'am.
And who did you determine that to be?
Mr. Robert Quincy Creed.
Okay. And ultimately, at some point, did Robert Creed identify himself as coming out of that vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you at some point come in contact with David White?
I did, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did he ever identify himself as coming out of the front passenger seat or even being in Ronny Walker's vehicle that day?
No, ma'am. I'm sorry. He did not identify himself in that vehicle whatsoever.
Okay, thank you. However, when you spoke to David White, as it pertains to this case, did he acknowledge knowing Ronny Walker?
He did, yes, ma'am.
Did he acknowledge knowing Robert Creed?
Objection to hearsay.
May we approach?
Yes. Stand the objection.
So did you in fact show, based on your conversation with David White, did you in fact show David White video from the Thorntons that you had collected at some point?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did David White identify Ronny Walker as the individual in that video?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you also show, give me a second, please. What is going on? It's supposed to be documents, right? This one? And then document. Why is this so complicated? Okay, thank you. So obviously, at the time that you came in contact with David White, this was later in time, is that correct?
That's correct, yes,
But
ma'am.
during your investigation, you did come upon video from Thorntons, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And when you came in contact with Matthew White, based on your conversations with him, did you show him video from the video?
David White, yes, ma'am.
David White?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. This is stills from the video. Did David White make a positive identification of Ronny Walker?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you show him footage that depicted Ronny Walker as this, as we have him here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. State Exhibit E2, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Sir, did you show Mr. Walker, Mr. David White this video?
Yes, ma'am.
And did he identify Ronny Walker as the individual in this video?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he ever indicate to you at any point that no one could possibly make an ID from that video?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And as it pertains to the individual that came out of that vehicle, State Exhibit E5, did you show David White this video that depicted this individual?
Yes, ma'am.
And was that based on information that David White told you about his association with Ronny Walker and Robert Creed?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did David White make an identification of the individual in this video?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did he make any comment about he looked like a taller version or a shorter version of this individual?
No, ma'am.
Okay. During your conversation with Ronny Walker on May the 13th of 2022, did you speak with Mr. Walker about his phone?
Yes, ma'am.
And what, if anything, did he tell you about his phone?
That it was lost.
Okay. And what was the time frame in which he had said it had been lost for?
About 2 weeks prior.
Did he tell you where he was staying at the time of this murder?
Yes, ma'am.
What location did he say?
He provided a location of 18th Street and 26th Avenue.
Okay. Did he tell you who he was staying with?
Yes, ma'am.
Who did he say?
His girlfriend.
And who was his girlfriend?
His girlfriend was Erica Sweet. However, during the interview, when asked who he knew at TGH, he provided a name for his girlfriend of Erica Hudson.
At any point during this conversation with Mr. Walker, did he at any point correct himself and say, no, actually her name has never been Erica Hudson, it's Erica Sweet? Did he do that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So the name that he told you of his girlfriend was Erica Sweet?
Erica Hudson.
Erica Hudson?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But that day, did Erica Sweet show up at Giant Meadows?
She did.
Okay. So did you come in contact with her?
I did, yes, ma'am.
Did you speak with her?
I did.
Did you learn her relationship with Ronny Walker?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did you determine that relationship to be?
Boyfriend, girlfriend.
Okay. Now, at some point, any point, did you learn the address for Erica Sweet?
Yes, ma'am.
What is that address?
That's 1801 East 26th Avenue.
Okay. And that's in Hillsborough County, correct?
That's correct, yes, ma'am.
All right. During your conversation with Ronny Walker, did he say anything or did you learn any information about what phone he was using on or around the time of the murder?
I was provided that he did have access to Erica Sweet's phone.
Okay. Did, when you spoke to Ronny Walker, did he tell you that he found anything in his vehicle? At that point when you spoke to him, did he hand over a phone that belonged to Nilexia Alexander to you?
No, ma'am.
When you came in contact with Ronny Walker on May the 13th of 2022, did he provide you with any cartridge casings from his vehicle?
No, ma'am.
Did you find a cartridge casing or two in his vehicle when you ultimately executed the search warrant on the vehicle?
No, ma'am.
Did you actually execute a search warrant on the Ford?
We did, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Was the Ford documented, searched, and evidence collected?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you find a phone belonging to Nilexia Alexander in the vehicle?
No, ma'am.
Did you find casings in that vehicle?
No, ma'am.
Did you find anything of evidentiary value in that vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you find?
Ultimately, when the vehicle was processed, we found indications of the presence of blood inside the vehicle. And ultimately, swabs were taken and sent off to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement.
Okay. How about a jacket? Did you find a jacket?
We did, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did that become relevant during your investigation?
Yes, ma'am.
And I think you indicated that you were out and about you went to the crime scene, though, on May the 6th of 2022, correct?
Correct, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Was it a cold day in Florida that day?
No, ma'am.
Did you wear a jacket that day?
No, ma'am.
please. Showing you State Exhibit C-15. Was this the jacket that was found in that vehicle?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
Okay. And then for the record, State Exhibit 4E. Is that the video from May the 6th?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And do you know the time frame of this video?
Yes, ma'am, it's shortly after the homicide.
Do you know the time?
I believe it's 3:30 in the morning.
Okay. All right. When you spoke with Mr. Walker, how long would you say your conversation with him was on May the 13th of 2022?
Totality of it, probably approximately an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Okay. And in all that time, did he ever tell you that he was with Robert Creed that day?
Objection may be approached.
Yeah.